Hey. Bang, 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 bang. Bang, 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 bang. Bang. So, I guess I should back up to stand frame. So, I haven't had this pouch for very long, but I wanted to show you can still run it pretty quickly. There's an actual faster way to reload a mag-fed shotgun, and that's with belt clips on the magazines, and I'll put links to a couple examples of professional shooters who are very good at it. This way can never be as fast. But I think I found what is a long-looked-for compromise for an everyday person who doesn't want to put clips on their magazines. And that is a surplus ComBlock leather mag pouch. I haven't figured out exactly what this is for, and at the end of the video I'll give detailed close-ups of the markings on there. So hopefully some of you can help me find a source for this so I can either point people towards the source or import them myself and make them available to everybody. There are several high-quality custom options, but they are not cheap. This was cheap and it is good leather. So I'll show you again a quick reload of that. So these are 10 round mags. They actually fit about flush. I'm hoping that's in frame. I'm going to pull this down a little bit. So, as you can see, these 10 round SGM mags fit all the way flush. If I shove them down like this, I have to kind of pull them up, grab them again, and then do it. So I actually like to leave them sticking up about this far. And if I was running a competition, there'd be a block in there. With the 12 round mags, they stick up about that far naturally, so that's just right. You can see this fits two magazines easily. So let's do this again. Alright, I'll turn sideways this time. Or actually, maybe this way would be better. So you can see this. So, emptied my last round. Bang, 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 bang. Left one in chamber, keep on driving. I mean, tube-fed guns have nothing on that, and it's so easy. That's the real brilliant thing. People talk about a traditional pump shotgun such as the 870 or Mossberg 500 or a semi-auto equivalent like Mossberg 590 or Remington, I don't even care anymore. The point is, they have a lot of manual manipulation, and all of that is a chance to make an error. They're not foolproof because part of the system is always you. And that is always a simpler motion than this over-the-top, palm it in, shove it forward. No, sorry, that's always harder. I'd never really be inclined to direct traffic to James Yeager, but he has a video on shotguns where he professes to tell you the right way to run a shotgun as he's dropping shells constantly. And I'm sure he has practiced and is very good and all of that. That's kind of my point, actually, is that a professional shooter who's at one point at least maintained or developed a high level of competence can fumble with it. This is pretty hard to fumble with. Sorry, that's always easier. This is a more reliable system because there's less room for human error. I'm kind of getting off the topic of my video though, so let's look at this mag pouch a little closer. So, as you can see, it has these interior flaps that get in the way. It's kind of a nuisance. Has this flap over the top. With the tall mags, it actually kind of keeps them from digging into your sides, so I'm debating as to whether I want to cut that off. If I was trimming this for regular use, I would probably cut these down just below this rivet. Kind of a swoop down, that would just make them easier to grab. The magazines, the ribs don't hang up on them. You can see interior, it's just a very simple divider. It's just one piece folded over that way and then folded over this way with a rib stitched in from the inside. I will grab a ruler and get some dimensions off of that. It's kind of hard to get exact, but if you measure it this way, it looks to be about 1 3/4 inch space. Sorry, 1 3/4 inch space. Just yeah, I'll call that 1 3/4. Maybe on the tall side of it. Probably works out to some clean dimension. This way, it is from the front of the pouch. It's, call it 7.5, depending on which way it's flexed. From the corners to corner, it's 7 7/8. The back leather piece is 8.5 wide times, looks like about 15.5 tall. Wouldn't have to be exact if you were making one. The actual part that holds the magazine is pretty close to 11 even this way. And again, if I were making this, I would actually cut this down. I would keep the back piece the same length, but I would cut the front down a little bit. That would make it easier to grab. And part of why I don't think this needs the flap, one, this isn't a thing that people would wear all the time, but it would work while walking in the field for like pheasant hunting. Not that you'd use a magazine this big for that, but or patrol. It's kind of awkward for sitting down, but it works. The magazines are in there pretty solid. I've tried several different styles, from the CSS spec steel to the let's see, this one actually has ammo in it, but here's a SGM 12. See, that's all the way down. You can put them in floor plate first. They're a little bit tighter fit that way, but it does work. And they're pretty secure. This has 12 rounds of ammo in it, so I'm not worried about that coming loose. This way it probably could do that if you were to stand on your head and do jumping handstands. Let's try to do that. But you can see it's pretty secure even then. And moreover, if this is on your belt and you turn upside down, it's going to lay like this against your body, and that's going to retain the magazine. So it really doesn't need the flap on top, except for keeping the elements out. And I don't think that's really a huge concern for how these magazines would be used. Now maybe if you were making one size for the 5-round magazines plugged down to 2 or what they call a 3.0, then for hunting you might want one with flaps on it because you could be out in the rain or something, and you'd be less concerned about ultimate speed than you would for competition. But in terms of wandering around the range, and like if you'd say do a run and gun and you're dropping mags as you go, it provides a way to carry them and a way to carry them back and not end up short mags at the end of the day. It's comfortable, it looks good. It appears to be cowhide. I would call that 3/64 thick. It's very uniform. This was better quality leather than most of the Comblock leather I've seen. A lot of that is really cheap, kind of stiff pig hide. The color looks a lot like East German Makarov leather that I've seen, and maybe Romanian. Somebody was suggesting the markings might be. So let's look at the markings here. I'll put some static images, but you can see it says CTC 58-83, has like a normal like bait stamp type stamp, 29 October 83, 1983, and this either says prod or proto with a smudge or period, IIS with periods in between, and large block letters FLAG or possibly FLAC, then in smaller caps ANA, and it looks kind of like a T above the A, but it's hard to say whether that's intentional. And then over here it says either RUSIE or ROSIE, in all caps, and there's a little tick on the bottom of the S, almost like a dollar sign, but I'm not sure again if that's intentional. It's got a few ballpoint pen marks from the people assembling it too. Anyway, oh, and the shop marked it $9.95, but I managed to tack them down. And if I was to find a source of these, I would probably sell them for $15, unless I can just find a link to let everybody know where they are for cheaper. So, if you know anything about this, and you're an expert on ComBlock magazine pouches, if there's a currently imported source, I would love to know about it, and if there isn't, I'd like to know who to arrange it from, because I think there is a market for this. And I don't want to discourage production of new high-quality things, or purpose-made stuff, but that's pretty nice, and it's already in existence. You can see it's single-stitched, the stitches are all solid. Oh, one thing I was going to mention, I have a whole bunch of nicks on my thumb from the previous time I played with this a couple of days ago, and I'm not sure, I can't find any sharp edges. It might actually be the leather itself that was cutting my thumb and side of my hand, but I got a whole bunch of little cuts from this. And I really can't figure out where. I felt every one of these rivets and I can't find any sharp snags on them. Anyway, kind of a rambling video as I always end up doing, but there you go. I'll try to do a nicer one later.